The film opens with Ava returning to her hometown after a long absence because two of her school friends are celebrating their engagement. One of them is Danica. At the party, while Ava is downstairs chatting with Danica, Danica's friend is talking to Ava's ex. Ava and her ex had once been attracted to each other, but a fight drove them apart, and today all the friends have gathered after a long time. Once the engagement ceremony ends, the four of them sit together and talk. It's the 4th of July, and they agree to drive up to a mountain peak to watch the fireworks. As Ava is about to get into the car, she spots another friend, Stevie, and thinks that since they're meeting after so long, they should bring her along. It turns out Stevie works at a bar, and when Ava approaches, Stevie declines. She has work, but Stevie's co-worker says they'll cover the shift, so if Stevie wants to join, she should go. She agrees, and the group sets off. Everyone drives toward the cliffside, but Danica suddenly screams at Fian, which terrifies the others, only to reveal it was a prank. They quickly reach the spot and get out of the car. Danica behaves oddly around Fian, as if he unnerves her, acting almost unhinged. Suddenly, another car barrels toward them, but then freezes in place. The others get furious at the driver's inaction, until Ava's ex shoves him out of the way. Everyone glares at him, but the other car then veers and slams into the guardrail, getting lodged there, and panic sets in. They rush to rescue the driver, who is badly wounded, but the car door is stuck and the vehicle keeps sliding forward. Everyone pulls and nothing works until, at the last moment, the driver grabs Danica's fiancé's shirt, who frees himself, and the car plunges into the water. Ava and Stevie insist they must save him, but there's no safe way down. Danica's fiancé goes to call the police, while Danica insists it was just an accident, and everyone should calm down because such roads see many wrecks. Ava's ex counters that they were standing right there, and maybe their hesitation cost the man his life. After some time, Danica's fiancé returns and says the police are on their way and they should leave. Ava and Stevie feel uneasy, but Danica's fiancé persuades them they'll report it at the station, and Ava's ex says they did what they could and now must go. Seeing police pass by, they drive away, and Ava is surprised when they do not head to the station. Back home, Danica's fiancé tells everyone to disperse and forget the incident, that the police will handle it, prompting Ava to leave quietly, displeased. A year passes and Ava returns for Danica's bridal shower. Danica is marrying someone else now, having split from her fiancé after the crash. On the flight, Ava meets a woman who is a podcaster heading to the same event, so Ava asks for a ride. Ava's ex has driven there, so both women ride with him. Danica is joyful and greets Ava warmly. Stevie arrives as well, and the reunion continues until Danica sits with everyone to open gifts and discovers an envelope containing a card that reads, "I know what you did last summer." Shocked, she asks who sent it. No one knows. She later claims it was her ex, who went mad after last year's accident, which is why they split. Ava's ex explains the crash. The dead man had no family, but Danica's ex's father, the city mayor, covered things up to protect his son's name. The group goes to see Danica's former fiancé, who reacts with fear when shown the card and insists he's innocent. That night, Danica senses someone outside her window. When she checks, her fiancé sneaks up behind to comfort her, thinking wedding nerves are to blame. She goes to take a bath while he dozes outside to relax, but suddenly the outside lights flick on. Startled, he steps out to inspect, and the lights cut off again. In the dark, he is suddenly struck by an arrow through his shoulder. He struggles, grabs a pillar, then realizes the killer has arrived and fires another arrow. The killer approaches and slashes him with a large hook. Since the attacker wears a mask, his face is hidden. After bathing, Danica hears music downstairs, goes down, and finds a horrifying scene. A rod impaled through her fiancé's neck with a message spelled out in blood, "You can't erase the past. You can't erase music," which terrifies her. The next morning, the group gathers to make sense of the murders and lists acquaintances who might know about last year. Ava's ex suggests a podcaster friend of Ava's who recently covered a killer in a podcast that Danica listens to. The podcaster discusses murders from 1997 carried out by a hook-wielding killer, and hearing this, the group is shaken. But Ava dismisses the idea that the podcaster could be the murderer. She just met her. The following morning, Ava meets the podcaster, who takes her to a decrepit house and, acting eccentric, obsessively recounts the 1997 killings, then whispers that the killer leaves notes for his prey, cards that read, "I know what you did last summer," and shows Ava such a card. The podcaster also mentions a professor and a man named Ray who survived the town's past violence, claiming they escaped the killer, which frightens Ava further. The podcaster tells Ava to wait and goes upstairs, leaving Ava alone. As she waits, Ava suddenly finds the killer standing before her. Thinking the podcaster is playing a prank, she realizes the podcaster is upstairs, so this is the real killer. He attacks. Ava dodges and fights back, wounding him with a knife, then bolts into a room and locks herself in while stabbing the assailant. After a while, believing the threat gone, she emerges, followed by the podcaster, but a heavy cage drops and traps Ava inside. Frantic, she tells the podcaster to fetch help as she becomes imprisoned. The podcaster finds herself in a lone elevator and fumbles with it as the killer approaches. Meanwhile, Stevie rushes to help Ava, and the podcaster ends up in a storage room full of mannequins where the killer grabs her from behind. When he tries to strangle her, she somehow rips off his mask and recognizes him, but before she can act, her body falls and dangles from above. Police arrive, investigate, and announce a town hall meeting the next morning that all must attend. Unsure of what to do, Ava devises a plan. She seeks out the survivor professor who teaches survival skills, hoping for assistance. The professor is reluctant to revisit that trauma, but Ava pleads and explains she's now caught up in the same terrifying pattern, so the professor agrees to hear her out and invites Ava to her home. Ava asks if the professor will go into town with her. The professor warns there's little point unless they unmask the killer, because the only way to stop this is to find who's behind the murders. At the town meeting, the police announce that the podcaster has taken his own life, pointing to his troubled history as proof that he was unstable. Hearing this, Ava and her ex immediately protest, insisting he wasn't the killer. Ava explains that when she visited his house, the real murderer attacked her and followed her. The room is stunned, but the police dismiss her words, saying they need evidence, not just stories. At that moment, Ray, the second survivor from the old massacre alongside the professor, steps forward, urging everyone to take Ava seriously. The police reluctantly agree, but add that in such situations they rely on Father, who was sitting nearby. He rises and tells anyone in need to come to his home. Later, Stevie approaches Ray, curious because she never knew he was also a survivor. Ray, however, dislikes talking about his past, and Stevie reveals she came with friends seeking answers. It's here that we learn Ray was once married to the professor, and he resents her for sending Ava after the killer. Meanwhile, Danica's ex tells the group that the only solution is to flee the town, but Ray warns that running away won't end well. Soon they get their hands on a police report stating that the man who died last year had been drunk and driving a stolen car. Determined to dig deeper, they visit a local car rental service and, after Ava pretends the dead man was her brother, manage to get information about the vehicle. Using this clue, they begin their search. At the cemetery, Danica and her ex visit the victim's grave and find fresh flowers. When they ask the caretaker who placed them, he denies knowing but agrees to show the CCTV. Just as he's about to reveal the footage, the killer slits his throat. Hours pass without his return, so Danica's fiancé goes to investigate while she waits, only to suddenly encounter the killer herself. Terrified, she hides in a storage room, finds a phone, and tries to call, but the killer tracks her down, drags her out, and nearly kills her until her fiancé arrives and rescues her. The killer flees, leaving Danica shaken but alive. Meanwhile, the professor is surprised when Ray shows up at her door. He admits he came only because he's troubled she encouraged Ava to hunt the killer, knowing it might put everyone in danger. Elsewhere, Ava's ex, uneasy, steps outside to clear his head but is ambushed, strangled with a rope until his neck snaps, killing him instantly. Ava glimpses his car driving away, calls him, and realizes the phone lies near his corpse while the killer drives off. The next morning, Ava and Danica visit Father. Danica, uneasy, slips into his study and secretly notices a picture of him with the deceased man. When a woman arrives to retrieve a book, Danica hides in the cupboard as Father takes the book and leaves. That evening, the two report their suspicions to the police, but the officers don't believe them, accusing them of trying to frame Father. Left locked inside the station, Ava and Danica realize they are trapped. Elsewhere, Ray, who is also Stevie's boss, reassures her that he once promised her father he would protect her, and he intends to keep that promise. At Danica's house, Her fiancé sees the gate opening by itself and investigates, spotting a statue in the corner while the real killer lurks behind him. In a sudden attack, he's stabbed but fights back, crawling up the stairs for help. His father, lost in music, hears nothing, while his mother upstairs fails to notice his desperate signals. The killer drags him away and kills his father with a hook when he comes out. At the police station, Danica dreams of her favorite beauty queen, only for the queen's face to rot grotesquely before attacking her with a hook, jolting her awake in terror. Soon after, the police release them, and everyone rushes to the crime scene where Danica's fiancé and father are gruesomely displayed. Danica breaks down, screaming in grief as her friends pull her away. Ray advises they escape by boat, but when they check Ava's ex's car, they find his body too, plunging Ava into tears. The three girls set off in a boat, while police head to father's house to arrest him, only to discover he has also been murdered. On the boat, Ava hears noises in the cabin, while police discover a group photo at father's house, revealing the dead man's partner, none other than Stevie. The truth emerges. Stevie is the killer, now on the boat with Ava and Danica. She attacks Danica and reveals her true identity, shocking her friends. Ava calls her insane, but Stevie insists she is strong and independent, not mad, recounting how she was abandoned after her parents' deaths, only to find solace in the man killed in the crash, the same man the group inadvertently doomed. Losing him shattered her, and she vows to make them suffer the same way by taking away their loves. Danica asks why she's confessing now, and Stevie says it's to ensure they feel her pain. When Ava reaches for a flare gun, Stevie stops her, but Danica grabs the fallen hook and fights back. Stevie corners her until Ray arrives pointing a gun, but Stevie holds Danica hostage. Danica manages to strike Stevie, freeing herself, and Ray shoots her, sending her into the water. Later, at Ray's bar, Ava notices scars on his body, wounds identical to those inflicted when the killer attacked her at the podcaster's house. Horrified, she realizes Ray is the second killer. He locks the door and comes at her with a hook. Ava fights fiercely, stabbing and fleeing, even smashing a window to escape, but Ray corners her again. Just then, the professor arrives, and Ray confesses proudly that he mentored Stevie, helping her avenge her pain after losing her family and love. As he raises his weapon to kill, Ava strikes from behind with an arrow, impaling him and ending his life. In the aftermath, Danica, found alive on the shore, reunites with Ava in the hospital.
There, they learn Stevie has survived, setting up Ava's vow. One killer may be dead, but she will not rest until she finishes Stevie, ensuring the nightmare ends for good.
With this, the movie ends here. Thank you.